day. So I hope you're ready because we're going to do some more hands-on. So today we're going to do hands-on training. You are going to learn some new things today. And I was able to look at some of the questions that people had from yesterday that I wasn't able to answer. We didn't have time. And people ask questions like, what are the other AI tools that you folks use? Things like that. I named one. I named Notebook LM at the end of that meeting, but there are so many other tools that we use and we teach our clients to use. And I'm going to share a few of those with you today, mainly though for the purposes of what you're going to learn today. We're going to be focused on ChatGPT. Okay, so hopefully you have Chat, and hopefully you actually have a paid version of Chat, and we can actually do that. Now, a couple other people were asking questions about things specifically about Chat, and we will get into that when we dive in. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, we've got hi Tracy. Hello. Okay, Darius, we've got lots and lots of people here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we will jump in. Okay, can everyone see my screen all right? Give me a yes, please. Fantastic. Okay, great. All right. So we are going to jump into day 2, where we're going to talk about risk, complexity, and time, because when it comes to investing, you want to reduce your risk, you want to reduce the complexity, and you want to reduce the time. I talked a lot about that yesterday and how I'm one of the types of people that likes to cut to the front of the line. I'm willing to pay extra to do that, whether it's Disney World, whether it's inline shopping for things, which is why I hire, I pay for Instacart. I'll do that type of thing to save me time, be more efficient. Because like you, I'm sure you'd rather spend time with your family, with your friends, doing the things that you love to do. That's what I prefer to spend my time doing. I don't want to spend it all doing research. So that is the reason why AI is so powerful. It's going to help you evaluate deals, avoid costly mistakes, and grow your wealth with confidence. Okay, so let's dive in. So welcome back. This is day 2 of our 3-day challenge, and I'm glad to see you guys here for a second day. I'm sure there are some people who were not here yesterday that are here today. Hopefully you got to watch the replay, but it's okay if you didn't. We will do a quick recap. We're not going to go over everything that we went over yesterday, but we will do a quick recap. But before I do the recap, I wanted to share some things with you that I did for you so that you could see the power of AI and some of the things that are possible with some simple prompts. So yesterday I taught you a simple prompt acrostic that helps you remember how to do prompts correctly. And I'm going to show you something kind of fun that I was able to do and all the things I was able to create from a simple prompt. Now, I started with ChatGPT. And if you don't know, ChatGPT has other tools associated with it. And so what I did was I gave a simple prompt. So that you know, yes, AI is here. I created this image from a prompt, a simple prompt. I asked ChatGPT to create an image of a Bart Simpson inspired character. And I'm going to be very careful with that because it will not create Bart Simpson. Bart Simpson is copyrighted, but I asked it to create an image of a Bart Simpson inspired character teaching an audience about how the US tax brackets work. And it created this. Now, this was a good start, a very good start. And you'll notice, AI is not perfect. It does make errors. So you'll see a few as you go through, but this was literally in seconds. Okay, now I'm not an artist. I used to go onto Fiverr or Upwork and hire people to design something like this, but this literally happened in seconds. And I was able to, have an illustration like this. Now, let me show you what I did next. Next, I uploaded the photo created by ChatGPT and I asked Sora to create a video of the character, the Bart Simpson inspired character, teaching an audience about the US tax brackets. And let me show you what it made. Now, before I do that, let me explain what Sora is. Sora is a video creation tool that is already in ChatGPT. And when we get into ChatGPT and we start building some tools. I will show you where that is, where you can find it. It's actually built in. So here is what it made. So you'll notice there's no audio here, but what it did was it created a video of a Bart Simpson inspired character with a room full of people, including a little baby in the front. And it looks like his sister is sitting there as well. And he's going through the tax brackets. And as you can see, there are things on there that aren't quite right and things that are misspelled. And it does that. You could always get it to fix it. But what I was doing was actually just showing how quickly I could do something like this with the same prompt. Now I change it just a little bit as we continue to go through, as I wanted it to do several things just to show you what's possible. So now it created a little animation, right? This little animated video, like, or a GIF for, with this Bart Simpson inspired character to teach the tax brackets, the US tax brackets. Now, the next thing I did was I went and I said, you're a cartoon script writer, right? I associated the role. You are a cartoon script writer. Write a short script for the Bart inspired character to use when explaining how US tax brackets work in language that a 10-year-old would understand. Feel free to use analogies or metaphors. Okay. And so it came up with a metaphor or, of a pizza, right? It's like a pizza. And so then after it wrote the cartoon script, I asked it to make a comic strip script. Then it wrote a short cartoon script designed to teach kids how the tax brackets work using pizza as an analogy. And after it made the cartoon, the cartoon, I said, make the comic based on the script, and it did. Okay. And as you can see, the script, it's a little bit different than what you see on the left. It says, the Bart inspired character standing in front of a, chalkboard or whatever. Don't freak out. This isn't math torture. Taxes are like pizza, right? And you can see it's a little bit misspelled in the comic strip, but it's pretty cool. It talks about how when you earn money, Uncle Sam takes a slice of your pizza, 10%. On the next slice, takes a slightly bigger bite, 12%. The next slice, slightly bigger bite, it says 12% again. It should be higher. The more you earn, the bigger the slices get. It actually skipped one or two. I think it was one. There were seven panels. It skipped one, but this is a great first run, and literally it took seconds. Again, if you were trying to teach kids about money or taxes and you wanted to try to create something, usually you would have to hire someone on Upwork or Fiverr to create something like this. And again, I have no artistic skills like this, but I'm able to create something like this out of thin air very quickly in minutes with just kind of altering slightly the original prompt, right? Is this pretty cool? You guys like this so far? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a yes if you like what I'm showing you so far. Awesome. Okay. Now again, these are the tools that I'm using. I've used so far with this are ChatGPT, Sora, and I'm also going to show you some other tools that I used as I continue to go. So the next thing I did, right? First I did an image, then I did an animated image or like a short video, a GIF. Then I did a comic strip, and now I did another video. So the next tool I used HeyGen. Now we use HeyGen for a lot of things, but I used HeyGen's video agent, and I asked it to create a video of a Bart Simpson inspired 3D character teaching an audience about the US tax brackets using the pizza analogy. And I copied and pasted the script that ChatGPT made, and this is what it came up with.
Don't freak out. This isn't math torture. Taxes are like pizza. When you earn money, Uncle Sam takes slices of your pizza. But here's the trick. He eats it slice by slice. On the first slice of money, he just takes a tiny bite, 10%. On the next slice, he takes a slightly bigger bite, 12%. The more you earn, the bigger the bites on the next slice. But he never goes back and takes more from the first slice. Think of it like levels in a video game. Higher levels equals bigger bites, but your earlier levels stay safe. So remember, bigger money equals bigger bites out of the next pizza slices. And Uncle Sam's that hungry guy who always shows up at the party. Class dismissed. Who's hungry?
Okay, that's pretty cool. It's got the spiky hair and like the outfit like Bart Simpson. So it basically t made a human looking like character out of the Bart Simpson look-alike. Now you can do this with anything. I also did one. I did an image. I'm not going to show that to you, but I think it'd be cool for you to try something like this. And actually, we may just do this in a second. I came up with something kind of crazy. And I said, make me an image of a golden retriever CEO, teaching at Wall Street. And it created a golden retriever, a very lifelike looking golden retriever standing behind a podium in a suit. And then in the back of it was Wall Street. And it was a great image. And then I created an animation out of that. If you can create whatever crazy thing you want, and you can actually have it looked very realistic. It's pretty amazing, and do it in seconds just from a description, a common English description prompt. So I think this is pretty cool too. Now, the next thing I did was I created a website. So I went to Durable. So far the tools that I've used are ChatGPT, Sora, HeyGen, and now Durable. So I wanted to create a website, and all I did was a simple prompt. I went to Durable, and in one sentence, I asked it to create a landing page for a company designed to teach teens and preteens about taxes. And here's what it created in seconds. Now, this is just the first page. If you scroll down, there's a lot more to it, and it just made it up. And then it put some pictures in there and was really cool. But it does look very much like this could be for teens or preteens. And so the website's called Taxes for Teens, Honolulu's Youth Tax Education Hub. Empower your preteen with essential tax knowledge at our premier educational hub in beautiful Honolulu, Hawaii. Start learning now. So it's all made up. You can actually make up an entire business around anything very quickly, just using a few tools. So again, it's pretty cool. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is I wanted to show you the power of AI and what's capable all in a matter of minutes, and what a time saver and money saver it can be. So with one prompt, like I said, I created an image, I created a GIF or animated video, a cartoon script, then a comic strip, and a 44-second video, and then a website. All of that, I think it took me 10 minutes. And I think that's insane. It's pretty crazy, because if you go back just a couple of years ago, that wasn't possible. And it just shows you what we can do now. Like I said, I love saving time. And I'm willing to pay for services and products that save me time and give me the ability to do the things I love with my family and friends. And I'm sure you're probably the same way, and that's why you're here. So we will then dive in. Any questions about what I shared with you so far? All the different tools. I'm literally scratching the surface of the tools and that you can use. Can you imagine teaching your kids about money like this, using some of these tools to teach your kids about money? Wouldn't that be cool?
Nisha, there was one question.
Oh, sure.
Is the website you created active? Like, is it a functioning, clickable, active website?
No, I did not publish it because it's not a real business. That's why. So I didn't want to have it up there and have people like, oh, I could teach my kids about taxes, and they can't because it's not a real business. But it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, you could make it a functioning website. It actually was like publish and put in get your URL and all that. And I was like, oh no, we're not going to do that. But I wanted to show you what it could do. And actually, I could probably send you the link to the preview of it. I might do that at the end of this if you want to take a look at it. Okay, so let's get in. You guys ready now? You ready? Pretty exciting. There's so much more I could share with you, but this is just wanted to start there. Okay, let's do a recap of yesterday. Is there anyone who is new here? Got any people who weren't here yesterday? Go ahead and let me know in the chat. Okay, we got a couple of people. Okay, people raising their hands, I see. Okay. Got it. Okay, we do have quite a few. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're not starting over today, okay? But We will drop the ChatGPT link in the chat box for those who are new and maybe don't have it. And I'll do a quick recap of what we covered yesterday for those who couldn't make it. Okay. And those of you who were here, did you find yesterday helpful? We got a lot of really good surveys at the end, so people really got a kick out of it. And I'm going to ask you a few questions about the homework in a minute. So here's what we covered yesterday. Quick recap. We talked about ChatGPT setup. We talked about what AI is and what it isn't, what it can and cannot do. I do not want to misinform you and make you think that it solves every single problem and that it is always accurate. It is not. And in fact, when you read the bottom of OpenAI's like disclaimer at the bottom, it says it can make mistakes. And it can make mistakes and it can hallucinate. And we talked a little bit about why, and just to reiterate, part of that reason is how it's programmed, and there's some other flaws in the programming, but some of it is just that where it's getting its information. So it is getting its information from the internet for the most part. You can actually limit the information you're getting from outside. We'll talk about that today as we're building this tool. But it'll get its information from the internet. It gets its information from things that you've put in it. If you're already using it, it will get its information from there too. But we know that everything on the internet is not accurate, and therefore it will, if someone made something up or a study or a paper or whatever, and put it on the internet, it may grab that and give that to you as a valid source. We also know things like Wikipedia are not totally accurate because they're written by people who put things out there, and some of it's accurate, some of it's true, some of it's not. So that's just a couple of examples. So AI though does give you a ton of leverage, but it also has its drawbacks, and so you need to know about them and how to mitigate those. Now you saw how I'm using it. I did share a couple of things that I've done with it. I'm going to tell you about another one as well. I think it's going to blow your mind. There's just so many things. And I hope you're very excited about it. We did have some hands-on practice yesterday, and for homework you answered the risk tolerance profile, and that's awesome. So we're going to go get into it. Now, before I do, real quick, I do want to say another way that I've used it, and this is very cool. I've been able, how many of you guys, when it's tax time, you struggle with getting everything together? Like it's like there's just, you look at your bank statements, you're looking at, what your expenses were here, your credit card statements, you're trying to pull all this stuff together, maybe put it in a spreadsheet or put it inside of a tax organizer for your tax person. Anybody like have struggle with that or have any challenges with that? Or is it just me? Am I the only one? So I created a tool for myself, and these are tools too that when I do these for myself, these are things that I share with clients as well. But what I did was I created a tool that will gather all that information right when I upload it, right? My bank statements, my credit card statements, all that kind of stuff, and then synthesize that information and organize it into a spreadsheet so that I don't have to go through that manually, and it will categorize those things and then mark whether they're deductible or not deductible. Now you have to build the knowledge into it, but it's, and ours is a little bit different because there are certain things that we can deduct that probably regular people can't, W-2 employees and things like that. So, what we have built into the background of it is a little bit different. Now, and I also want to say one thing. This is another disclaimer I didn't give yesterday, but I'm going to give it today. I'm not an AI expert. What I am an expert in is passive income and passive income strategies. And I've learned how to use AI to accelerate that. So if I'm an expert in anything, it would be AI in passive income. So if you have other things you're trying to do with AI or whatever, that's outside of passive income, I'm definitely not an expert on that. I hire people to help me with things like that, things for our business and everything. But as far as investing and finance and budgeting and taxes and things like that, that is what I've learned how to do and I've taught myself how to do. And I've studied and I've researched and I've, gotten support. Now this is what I've been doing for over 20 years. I'm an investor and I've learned how to invest, and now I've incorporated AI into that. So I want to make sure that give you that disclaimer. All right, let's jump on. So who did the homework, right? This is going to be interesting. Now remember, somebody asked me when they took the risk assessment, is this so TARDIS knows my risk tolerance so they can sell me stuff? And remember, I said the answer is no. For those of you who don't know us, we don't have anything to sell you. We don't sell financial products or services. We are not, financial advisors that, take fees or commissions for selling you things. We don't even take referral fees from people in the financial industry, like whatever, financial companies that sell products. We don't take any of that. We don't do that. And we don't see the answers to your questions anyway. So if you did do the risk assessment last night, this is not for me, it's for you, right? So, as you went through this, the question I have for you, for those who did the homework, were you surprised by the results? Were any of you surprised by the results? Okay. And here's the thing. Let's see. Okay. I should have also mentioned this, and I realized that if you have a spouse or a partner, you should have them take it separately before telling them what your results are. So, and there's a reason for this. This is really important because we've seen over the years that there's a lot of couples that are actually very different when it comes to risk tolerance. And if you combine your money, which most couples do, and one of you is very aggressive, has a very aggressive risk tolerance. So you you're almost willing to kind of go all in on anything. And then the other partner is very conservative with their money and just wants to save and is very scared of investing. Um, if you try to invest without understanding the difference between the two of you and how to meet in between in the middle, that can be a disastrous situation. So one of the things that we do at TARDIS, I mean, this we're not even going to get into this right now, but we work a lot with couples to help them find that middle ground so that you can meet somewhere in the middle and make sure that you're meeting both of your needs so that you're getting the returns that the more aggressive partner wants, but at the same time, you're not being so far out there and so aggressive that you blow all of your savings and do something really crazy. So that's really important. So if you didn't do that, I highly recommend it. And if you weren't here, maybe Cynthia, maybe you can put the link in the chat to the risk tolerance assessment for those who weren't here yesterday, so they can take it real quick while we're on. Okay, but for those who did the homework, I want to get two, maybe three volunteers to share a quick win with everyone here. So for example, the first time I did this with my husband, and this, was a long time ago, we were very opposite. And then before we even did it, right? Because we didn't even know about this. Remember, I gave the example yesterday about how we bought, almost, it was close to $500,000 we lost in an investment on the East Coast, investing in a hotel, right? Which we had no business investing in because we had no clue and knew nothing about hotels other than we stay at them, right? That was pretty much the extent. We understood how to read financials, but we just didn't understand the inherent risks associated with hotels. Plus, the timing of what was happening in the economy too was a little bit off. But at the very, very beginning of when we first got married, it was my idea to go start flipping homes to pay off our student loans and to get into commercial real estate. My husband was very risk averse. Chris was extremely risk averse. He had studied investing for years. He had all kinds of investing magazines, all kinds of things that he looked at, but he didn't do it. He was a saver. He saved tons of money and he just didn't take any risks. But then he married me and took a big risk because I had a lot of debt. I had 100,000 student loan debt. He had no debt and savings. I had debt and no savings. So I was very desperate to get rid of the student loans. So I was looking at other opportunities, and the opportunity was to, flip a house and pay it off, and we did that. But and he basically kind of we met in the middle. Now, and I was afraid, we were newlyweds, so I was a little bit scared that if I lost all of his life savings, he'd be mad at me and we'd have like a terrible marriage and all this kind of stuff. It all worked out. But this is why it's so important. Now, here's what's interesting. We took it again recently. We took the risk assessment again recently, and our risk tolerance is almost exactly the same. The score we got on the assessment was almost identical, like it was off by 1 point each. And what's weird about that is I was the gambler, he was the investigator. We've converged. We've been married for about over 25 years. And now we took it recently, and it's crazy that we're identical. So now, can I get just two people to maybe spend no more than 2 minutes sharing your aha moment on either what you learned from the risk assessment about your spouse, or what you learned yesterday, or about doing some of the prompts that we talked about as well? Let's see. Cynthia, I might need your help with this on choosing someone. If you just raise your hand, and we can unmute you, I think. Okay, so we have a couple people raising their hands here. Let's see. Okay, I don't know how to unmute them. Let's see here. Okay, we've got Richard, Jens, and Mian. I can do it. Okay, I figured it out. Okay, so Richard, we'll start with you, and if you could just spend a minute, right? We'll keep it really brief, giving us your aha from yesterday. I'm going to unmute you. Here we go. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Real quick, I do research online for like a living.
Mhm.
So the ChatGPT, and I'm a programmer, so I understand the chat stuff. So for me, the biggest thing I learned is that it's much easier to phrase a question, and the more detailed your question, normally, the better off your results are going to be. So, like you say, think about what you want to say and put that in and get as detailed as you can to target your result set.
Boom. Love it. That was great. Exactly. That was awesome. Couldn't have said it better. So for those of you who missed yesterday, he summarized exactly what we learned when we did those prompts. All right. So we also have Mian. Okay, and I'll give you just a minute. Here we go. Should be allowed to talk. There you go.
Hi, I just joined. I missed yesterday. So sorry if I am not able to respond about it, but I'm just getting it to know right now. So what was your question exactly?
Oh, if you missed yesterday, then you probably won't be able to answer. That's okay. That's no
Yeah.
problem. No problem. Now let's see. Anyone else? I'd like to see if I could get one more aha moment from yesterday. Let's see. Anyone else? Everyone's being shy here. And if you have it in the chat, you can put it in the chat if you don't want to actually talk. That's okay. Let's see. Okay. So some people said that, you can ask, what does RAT stand for again? Okay. I like the RAT approach. So this was the big thing. Okay. The RAT, actually watch the replay. I don't want to go into all that again because we have too much to cover. But yes, it's role, action, and target, but you're going to need to know what each of those things mean. And we're going to get into it in more detail today because when we're building a custom GPT, which is what we're going to do today, we're going to use some of that RAT, right? We're going to use some of the role, the action, target, but it's going to go way beyond that. So we will do that. And yet, yes, a replay, I believe, was sent out. I believe it was sent out. And someone said, here's an interesting thing when someone said, you can even ask chat to help you write the prompt and refine it for the best results. True. The only challenge is, remember what I taught you yesterday, is that it cannot come up with its own original ideas. So if you have a challenge or a problem that hasn't been encountered yet, it really doesn't know because there's no information out there for it to gather. What it can do is take the information that already exists and make inferences and assumptions from that. And it will sometimes make things up or hallucinate if it can't find the answer. So that's one of the tricks that you've got to be careful about when you're using ChatGPT, because the last thing you want, especially when you're investing or you're talking about money, is it giving you the wrong information? There are ways to identify when it does that, and there are ways to mitigate against that. We talked about that yesterday, and you can go ahead and watch the replay on that. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Let's keep going. So this is great. So now you have your risk profile report. Okay, so I hope that that was easy to complete and it made you think more carefully about your answers. Let's talk again about why this is so important. And for those of you who weren't here yesterday, we put that link in the chat so that you can actually do the risk profile really quickly and get your answer. I'm not sure you'll even know how to complete it yet, but let me tell you why it's so important again, really quickly. Um, and again, a lot of investors skip this, and this is dangerous. I mean, like I said, I give you an example of us losing almost $500,000 because we didn't do this. Your risk band, that's kind of like your risk category, your risk band is part of your compass. And most people don't know their risk band. They don't know if they're conservative or if they're moderately aggressive or very aggressive. That means they don't know what investments should fit into their portfolio, right? And they may not know when they look at an investment, is this high risk? Is this a higher risk investment? Is this a conservative investment? They may not know that initially, but when you build out these types of GPTs, it can help you uncover that. So first you start with your risk band, your risk tolerance. Once you know that, when you start analyzing investments, it can tell you this one doesn't fit, right? So it helps you to determine what you can reasonably afford, what you're willing to lose, what you should do first with your money to tolerate a loss. Now, let's say that all of your savings is tied up in a 401k and the value dropped 30% in 1 month. So if your risk tolerance is very conservative, you're probably not sleeping at night, right? You're going to want to diversify, put money in very safe investments to ease your mind or swap out those investments with ones with less risk and volatility. Some people who are super aggressive, they will take all their, I mean, I've seen this and this is absolutely insane. And we never recommend this, even for very, very aggressive investors. Never, never, never do this. But I've seen people do this. They've gambled their all of their savings. They've taken money out of their retirement accounts. They have maxed out their HELOCs on their homes and everything, investing in things that they thought were going to create all kinds of income for them, and turned out did not happen, right? Very risky, and they lost it all. So you never want to ever put all of your eggs in one basket. There can be great gains with investments, but there can also be losses. Now, Chris and I are very aggressive. We're very aggressive, but we're also very smart. And we have a lot of education. We have a lot of financial education, a lot of experience. We've been doing this for 20 years. So we're going to be very different from the next person. You have to know what your risk tolerance is so that you do not make decisions like my mom did. Okay. I created, I really refined the risks, my own risk tolerance criteria after what happened with my mother. And for those of you who don't know, I wrote a book called Creating Your Income Snowball, The Passive Investing Cheat Code for Mastering Wealth. And in that book, I talk about this story. I tell the story about my mother. So my mother wanted to follow kind of in my footsteps, so to speak, when it came to investing in commercial real estate. She knew that we had bought a couple of commercial buildings. I think we made it look easy. They had huge cash flow, and she was excited to invest too. Now, she hadn't taken any courses, hadn't read any books, did not have, I wasn't mentoring her. I didn't have time to do that. That's why I don't mentor people, because I don't really have time to do that. But so she kind of just looked at what we did and tried to copy what we did. So what she did, without much training and without a real plan, she knew where I was looking for commercial real estate, right? There are websites where you can find, and there are other sources, but she jumped in and she bought a 16 unit, I believe it was 16 unit apartment building. And that was her first property. And I think it was in Tennessee, which is where she was living. Now, I want you to think about that. Imagine never investing in real estate ever before, other than a house that you own, right? Your primary residence, which is not an investment. I don't consider that an investment. But the only property you've ever owned is the home you live in, and yet you go out and you purchase a 16 unit apartment building. So that, I mean, even the due diligence when it comes to commercial properties are completely different than due diligence you would do on a single family home. So it looked like a great deal on the surface, but after she closed on it, and I tell this story in great detail in my book, that's when the reality hit. I mean, several units needed repairs. I think she had a couple of vacancies right away. the leases, there were a lot of leases that were coming expired and the tenants were leaving. Some tenants weren't paying. The electrical was failing in some units. The mortgage was massive because, and the way she ended up buying it was she used her retirement account. So she cashed out a retirement account, which caused some tax issues, and she bought it. So instead of making money, she was actually feeding that property out of her own savings just to keep it afloat. It was crazy. And the stress was overwhelming her. I mean, she was calling me, she was contacting me all the time. I was getting text messages and, phone calls. Oh my gosh, Tanisha, this is horrible, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh my God. I mean, it was like stressing me out, but, and I felt bad, but that experience really taught me and her a powerful lesson, which is before you invest, you need to know your risk tolerance. You also need education and you need clear criteria for what you will and won't buy. And your criteria does not match what someone else's is. Trust me, it's very unique to the individual. And you need backup plans in case things go wrong. Do not assume that investment will always make money. Investments do, you know what I mean? You want to make sure that you have a plan in place in case something goes wrong. So the risk assessment isn't just about numbers, it's about protecting you from jumping into something that looks good on the outside, but then, could drain your savings and your peace of mind. And I've seen lots of people step into crushing debt and crushing stress because they didn't have this. All right, so I highly recommend it if you have not read my book, clients included. I mean, clients make mistakes like these, even though we're very adamant about not doing it, and that's the reason why, and just really, I think them not understanding the purpose behind a lot of this stuff. So anyway, now it's okay to make mistakes and learn from it, but it's much, much better to learn from other people's mistakes. All right, so let's get going. Okay. Couple more things. When you meet with a financial advisor, usually they'll have you do a risk assessment similar to this. It's different, but it will be something similar. The truth is, the reason why they normally do that is because they will be selling you something, or they want to sell you something, and they want to know what types of investments to sell to you. So they're going to put it into a fund, or certain specific stocks or whatever, and they're going to get commissions or fees from that. Nothing wrong with that, but that's why they do it. Again, you should do it for you, regardless of whether you have a financial advisor or not, or a financial coach, right? If you work with us at TARDIS, you all have this. Right, this should have been one of the first things that you did, and the reason for that is all the reasons that I expressed to you. So money's emotional. The wristband helps you stay neutral, so that you don't get emotional. And we're going to get into having, basically, it's going to show you how to make non-emotional, neutral decisions with your money, with or without an advisor. That's what we teach at TARDIS. We don't sell investments. We're not partnering with anyone. You guys know we're all about financial education and coaching, and it's guided implementation. Our coaches will guide you to implement, not only everything I'm teaching you here, but much, much more, and then how to use that in real life when you are actually investing. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so we believe you should have total freedom and anxiety around money, and that means emotional anxiety. So we want to teach you how to have income over growth. So this is kind of an important concept, because my risk tolerance assessment is different from what you're going to find a financial planner, because theirs is all based on, the types of investments they sell, which is, stock market, Wall Street type investments. We look at alternatives that provide you with income, and we believe that income over growth is more important. And if you're not sure why, and you're kind of still on the growth idea, I want you to think about this. If once the reason why we teach monthly income over growth is that you have more control over income you're creating today that can be compounded and used today and tomorrow. If you're focused only on growth, right? Because you can have both. You can actually have income and growth, and that's what our clients get. But if you're focused only on growth, the challenge is you're going to see that thing go up and down as the stock market goes up and down, as things change, as something happens in the news, we're going to see that go up and down, and that's really going to affect your ability to grow your wealth. So if you're just relying on savings, stocks, or retirement accounts, this risk tolerance isn't gonna give you everything that the risk assessment that I gave you isn't going to give you everything that you need. But let me explain something. The end goal should be financial freedom. The end goal should be, how can I get to a point where work is optional, where I don't actually have to work? If you love working or you love what you do, that's fantastic. Once you create enough passive income to cover all your living expenses, did you know that you're financially free? Technically, once you do that, you're financially free. We did that. My husband and I did that really early on. After we flipped the first property, we paid off my student loans. The second property we flipped, we bought a strip mall, and that strip mall covered all of our living expenses and then some. It actually replaced, it was more than what I was making as an attorney at the law firm I was working at, and therefore I didn't have to work. So when I started this business, there was no risk to me because I already was financially free. My income from my investments covered all of my living expenses, and so I didn't have to work anymore. I mean, think about all the things you want to do, whether start a business or whatever. How easy is that to be able to go do those things, right? We took a trip around the world for 2 months after we were financially free. We did that because we didn't have to work. All right. So I'm going to go through the framework real quick, and then I'm going to open up ChatGPT, and we're going to build this. So let's look at this whole thing when we're going to go through the steps, right? And there are very many parts to this. The first part is the risk assessment, and the next part that we're going to do is the criteria builder. But in order for you to understand it and how they all kind of layer onto each other, let me explain the framework. So the first is you need that financial GPS, right? That's assessing where you are today financially. What are your income? What's your expenses? What's your debts? What's your assets? And then set your freedom number, the amount of passive income target that would cover your lifestyle, right? Now and in the future. The income snowball strategy, instead of paying off debt in the traditional debt snowball sense, right? We flip that, and we're using existing cash flow to invest in assets that generate monthly returns. And these assets are a little bit different and unique in how they pay. And you're going to reinvest those returns into more cash flowing assets, accelerating growth. But it's all about seeing the income come in every month, the predictable recurring monthly income. That's what we're into. And then learning how to leverage smartly, right? People leverage dumbly, right? I hate to say that. They leverage dumbly, meaning they borrow money to buy cars, they borrow money to buy their home. Those are not assets, right? We believe that assets are things that create monthly income for you. And so, leveraging smartly gives you more buying power when it comes to investments that produce income. And that's the smart way to do it. Building a passive income portfolio, diversification, right? I told you about how some people grab, take all of their savings, their retirement accounts, their, mortgage their homes, to throw all of their money into something that they think is going to make them rich overnight, that like they won the lottery or something. It's the craziest thing. I don't care if you are extremely aggressive. That's a bad idea. You always want to diversify across income producing investments like real estate, lending, income funds, REITs, royalties, so many different types. Focus on the consistent monthly income. And then finally, financial freedom milestones. You want to track your progress. And actually, there are tools, right? Some of these tools that we teach our clients to use, those will help you track your progress. And also, of course, the income snowball calculator, which I have a patent on, that also helps you track your progress. You can celebrate smaller wins covering groceries, like your car payment, covering your mortgage payment. Imagine if you just had enough passive income to cover your mortgage payment. So if something did happen to your job, you don't have to worry about losing your home. How about that? Wouldn't that be cool? Like, even forget about financial freedom for a minute. Just doing those things make a huge difference. Okay, so the thing is, if you've ever felt torn between chasing higher returns and just wanting something safe, or maybe if you've ever felt like investing takes way more time, research, and energy than you really want to spend. Okay, that's, I love it. Actually, it's super fun, but AI makes it so much funner. If you have so much more funner, I don't think that's a word. If you had a tool that could quickly show you how much risk an investment carried before you put money in, would that make your decisions easier? Would it? Okay. All right. So that's why we're building this. And again, your risk tolerance may change over time. Like I said, in the beginning, I was the gambler, Chris was the investigator. Over time, we kind of switched, and now we're both the same. We're both exactly the same. So it's amazing. Okay, so let's take this risk tolerance and make it into something you can use over and over again, maybe for the rest of your life. And then this tool, the results of what you get here, we are going to build into the tool we're going to build tomorrow. Okay, so let's get into this. We're going to make your own custom GPT, and it'll be like having an army of your own assistants. So let me just stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to pull up ChatGPT. So hopefully you all have ChatGPT ready to go on your computer. Let's see. Okay, and I've written out some instructions for myself here so that I can kind of walk you through. Okay, let's see. Here we go. All right. Okay. So this is the one that you worked on. Okay, so if you didn't do this, hopefully you have the link now and can actually take this. But like I said, take it separately from your spouse. Don't sit there and look at their answers. Make sure that you do it separately and then come together and look and see what the differences are, because you're going to have to do things a little bit different. Now, this is what it looks like from the outside. And now I'm going to show you what it looks like from the inside. So what you're going to do when you go into your ChatGPT, and by the way, this is Sora. Remember I told you about that. That's the video maker. And if we have some time, I'll go back into that so I can show you. But what you're going to want to do is click on GPTs and then click on My GPT. See in the right-hand corner, My GPTs. Well, you don't have to click on that. We're going to click Create, right? So you're just going to start creating this GPT from scratch. So now that you're in ChatGPT, you go explore GPTs, create a GPT. Now you want to make sure, let me try to move this so that this is not in the way. You want to make sure that it's under configure. Okay, so now we clicked create and we're in configure. You can change the model if you want, but I think for our purposes, we're just going to leave the standard model, that the most recent model that they have. Different models do things a little bit differently. That's a little bit too complicated right now for me to go into. I'm not going to go into that right now. So what we want to do is you want to name your GPT, right? So let's say that we're going to, you're going to call it the risk assessment tool or whatever. Okay, so whatever you want to name it. And I like to name mine Tanisha's whatever. You might use your first name or your last name or your family's name. Just to make sure that it's something specific to you folks, and then put a description. And in the description, you might put something like helps you assess your risk tolerance when buying investments. Right. So you need this information before you invest. So, you can put whatever you want there as what it's for. Now, the next thing is the instructions. Okay. So, now you can even, so this is the name of it, and the description it helps you so that when you go into it, you can see and remember, what is this tool for? But the instructions are what tells it what to do, the instructions and the knowledge. So we're going to get into the instructions. So I'm going to explain what the instructions are, and then I'm going to actually, let me just go into my tool, and I'm going to the one that I built. And then I'm going to, okay. All right. So, okay, so let's start with the instructions. So what you want to do is you want to start with the role, right? So for me, I called it, you are the 3-day risk and fit assessor. The reason why I named it this is because of this 3-day challenge. The risk assessment that we use for TARDIS is actually different than this one. The questions are different. And so I had to actually recreate the knowledge in this GPT, because you guys wouldn't understand some of the things that are in there if you're not a TARDIS client. So if you're not a TARDIS client, I did not want you to understand fast burning fuel. I mean, it just would confuse you. So I took all of that out and rewrote the questions. so that anyone, whether they're a client or not, can understand, their risk tolerance. Okay, so you start with the role. So remember RAT, right? We talked about that. So we start with the role. You are a 3-day risk and fit assessor, right? Your name for yours is going to be different. Your job is to administer the risk tolerance assessment, computer score and band, surface red lines, reserves liquidity, and match the learner to suitable investment strategy bands in the next module. So I'm giving it a role and I'm giving it a task, right? I'm giving it what it's supposed to do. And then the audience and tone. Okay, so and you don't have to type all this out. I mean, we can copy that. I'm gonna copy this and paste it. But I need you to understand the why behind this, so you understand how this is built. So you get an idea of how to build your own custom GPTs. So what you're gonna do next, let me just kind of run through the different things. So the first is role an audience. Who are they talking to? Who is this GPT, this custom GPT talking to? Who's the audience? What are the tasks, the actions, the behavior that we want it to make? What are the assumptions it needs to use? The tone we want it to use, guardrails, and you can call it something else. In different ones, I call it guardrails. Sometimes I call it something else, depending. What are the guardrails? What are the expected inputs? What is the output format? So in other words, what is the person supposed to enter, or what are they supposed to upload? In this case, there's no uploads necessary for the user. The user's just answering questions in this particular GPT. But in others that I've built, I have to upload data or documents. Or for example, when I shared with you the commercial real estate one that I built, that one I put in there in the instructions that it has to, it should expect to get basically a pro forma or actual financials from the property. And so that is what the expected inputs are. And if it's missing information, it's supposed to ask me for it. Okay, so if I upload information, so I'm just giving you kind of an overview first so that you understand. So you're going to want expected inputs and expected output format. You're not going to find all of that in this one. This is a very beginner, simple GPT that doesn't have a lot of things that you've got to upload or transcripts or financials or anything like that. But I just wanted to show you some of the core things that I usually put in these types of documents. Okay. So what I'm saying here is that you're going to copy and paste the instructions. We're going to give you the instructions to paste, but what I'm asking it to do is to administer the risk assessment, which I have in a PDF. So the audience spans beginners to advanced, in plain English. Tone is calm, transparent about uncertainty and trade-offs. Boundaries, which are basically guardrails. Educational only, no personalized investment advice, no performance promises. You really don't want ChatGPT giving you investment advice, trust me. Collect, and then it's going to answers to 10 risk questions, question 1 through 5, 1 to 5 scale, 6 through 10, choices A to E, and they're scored. So the age range, it's also going to ask about your age range, income stability, monthly savings, liquid reserves, prior experience. And again, someone had said in the chat earlier that you can ask ChatGPT to help you with prompts. You can, but again, it wouldn't be able to create something like this. This was something we had been using at TARDIS for a while. We'd been using this risk assessment already, not this one, ours is different, but we were using a risk assessment and all I did was plug it into this. So that was the original idea, and then I plugged it in. So then I gave it the scoring logic. People that get a 10 to 20 are conservative, have a low tolerance for risk. 21 through 28, moderately conservative. 29 through 35, moderately aggressive. 36 to 44, very aggressive. 45 to 50, extremely aggressive, very high tolerance for risk. And then display the risk band in a short narrative about risk return trade-offs. It checks red lines, like if the person who's taking this is a very high risk tolerance, but they don't have any savings, it's going to give them a warning. advise building emergency fund before leverage or liquid investments, clarify source of funds, avoid tapping essential savings. Output is the risk profile report. So it's going to give you a score and a band, what it means in plain English, do's and don'ts. And we have the Chartist philosophy built in, not kind of general investing philosophy. Fit to strategy bands, like, and this is kind of general investment information, not necessarily the types of income investments we work with at Chartist. Recommended next modules with rationale, routing examples, conservative, aggressive, and then the response format, right? This is the output. Short report, then offer a downloadable Word document, score, band, reserves, months experience, level, notes. Okay. So I had to, I basically provided it with the risk tolerance. And so this is the knowledge here. It's basically a PDF. I had to alter it and change it for this purpose, because the knowledge that you build into it is what it is. Now let's kind of go through this a little bit. Now it's supposed to, and some people, it might do this differently, but I know it's interesting because when my husband took it, it actually asked him all the questions at once. But when I took it, it asked questions one at a time. And so you can actually ask it to do that. You can say, ask questions one at a time. Don't move on to the next question until it's answered. Things like that. So depending on how you want the output, that is how it can work. Now, what you want to do on the tools, right, and the knowledge, and we'll go into the conversation starters in a second so you understand how that works. But the knowledge that you build into it, it can take information from the internet, or it can only use the knowledge you build in. So it's really up to you. Do you want it to use information it knows from the internet, or only the information you put in? If you do, you want to make sure that that you build that in. Here's another thing. Okay, so you can add guardrails in, like not investment advice, is education, encourage consulting a licensed professional or getting a coach. If a user shares personal or sensitive info, handle it respectfully and do not store it. Okay, so that's another thing you can add in. Some people were asking yesterday about safety and all that kind of things. ChatGPT, if you use the free version, it does train its models on the information you put in. If you use the paid versions, depending on the paid version, I know the one we use, it does not train its models on the information that you put in. And I think that's really important. So now when you, in the knowledge, you want to upload it, and it automatically retrieves the files that are in the knowledge during the chats, which is how it does whatever you want it to do. And you can attach up to 20 files. Okay, so you can attach a lot of things, which is about 512 megabytes, and up to about, it's a lot of tokens. So retrieval runs automatically when the knowledge is there. So one thing to note, if you have a PDF and the PDF has images, it does not know how to read those. So you got to make sure that the text, it's only going to read the text. And if the words that you have are in images, it will not know how to read it, and it will get that wrong. Okay, so
Tanisha, can
yes.
I ask you to pause for 1 second and just
Yes.
see if everybody is tracking, and if
Okay, am I going
what
too fast?
questions they might have?
Okay, sure. All right, so let's pause. Let's pause. I know I'm going very quickly here. Any questions so far? Any questions so far?
We do have
Okay.
one question, which is, I'm not clear if this is showing us how she's using ChatGPT for her business, or something we should be taking notes on.
Oh, okay, good question. No, this is how you can use ChatGPT to create this risk assessment for you and your family. So what I'm doing is sharing with you how to do this, so that, and also how to make it private, so that it's not training the models on your information. Okay, so what I'm sharing with you, you can build, and this is for you. That's why I said in the beginning, when you name it something for you, right? Let's see, name it, I name mine Tanisha's, multifamily analyzer or something like that. Name name it whatever you want, because this is yours. And so you, your children, your husband, your spouse, your whatever, they can use this so you can find out what their risk tolerance are, right? And so this is just for you. It's not for us. And this is not the reason why we use it in our business, is because this is what we teach. We teach passive income strategies. We teach people how to invest, and we teach them how to invest in a way that allows them to retire in 5 to 10 years instead of 30 to 40 years like you would if you just invested in the stock market like everybody else does. So that's how I know how to do this. And I'm teaching you for free what I'm teaching my clients to do. This risk assessment is something that every investor, they should be doing. Okay, so I hope that makes that clear. Okay, so now let's get into let's kind of move into turning. Okay, so whenever you put knowledge, so this is also general information on how to build a GPT, a custom GPT in the first place. So even if you're not building this and you're building something else, we are going to build another tool tomorrow that will also help you with real estate investing. This will help you with any one that you build. So I put down here as far as recommended model that there's no recommended model, that users will use any model they prefer. And I think it automatically chooses the level 5. And the other thing that I do here is I check on code interpreter and data analysis. You don't really need that for this particular one, but I like to check that and make sure that I do. And the reason for that is if I have spreadsheets or any kind of like kind of the one I was telling you about earlier, the one that I created to help me get organized for tax time. That one, I have to have the code interpreter and data analysis. I have to have that box checked. It's normally not checked automatically. You have to check it if you're going to upload any kinds of spreadsheets or anything like that. So when I download my bank statements or my credit card statements and I download it into a CVS or an Excel spreadsheet file, what I will do is then upload those documents into this, and it can read it and interpret the data and do math. Okay, so that's why you want to check that box whenever there's any kind of math involved or anything like that. Okay, any questions about that so far? I know this is a lot. I'm trying to get through everything. Okay. Yeah, so remember, and if there's math involved, right? Remember how I gave you the illustration of the one that I showed you, the one that I built for myself, which was a commercial real estate investor, right? That helps me analyze commercial real estate investments. One of the things that I did was, if math is involved, which it's involved in every single one that it's running for me, I ask it to show the math or the arithmetic clearly. I ask it to prove that what it did was accurate, because sometimes, like I said, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, no, this is not right. Right. When I looked at the first result, it said this property does not cash flow. It's negative 4,000 a month or something. I was like, that's totally wrong. And when I looked at it, I realized that that what it needed to run through the numbers. And when it did, I saw what it did wrong. I could see the math it actually calculated wrong on the lease rent. Okay. All right, so let's get into conversation starters. Now, this is helpful because what it does is it helps you figure out, like, if someone's taking your assessment, let's say your spouse or your child, and they don't really know how to start, they can just click one of these. So you can say, I'm ready, ask me the 10 risk assessment questions. Or, I'm between two choices on questions 6 through 10, help me decide. And then what it will do is it will make assumptions, and it will, based on the information, the knowledge you gave it, and it will ask follow-up questions to help you decide which answer is best for you. Or score me, here are my answers. If you already had this risk assessment, which my clients do, for example, they already have the answers, they could just put it in, and then it would give them the result. Okay. So that is the simple way to do this. Now, what we're going to do is share with you really quickly. Okay, I know we're running out of time here. If you could, Cynthia, kind of give them the cut and paste so they have this. So they actually have they have this. That would be great. And then once you finish it, you update, or you click create and then it creates it, right? Mine's already created, so I'm just update. If I make any changes, I'll update it. Now, once you create something, is it once and forever what it's supposed to be? No, not necessarily. I found that when I do build these custom GPTs, I sometimes have to alter them because I need to go in. Knowledge changes, right? New information comes to light. So I will add things to the knowledge. I'll upload additional files. I'll change my original knowledge. I'll add things to the instructions. So it's not necessarily a one and done, but it's very close. Usually in the beginning, you can use it for a while until you find that there's some additional information that you want to give it. All right. Okay, so I think, let me get back here. Let me stop sharing real quick and let me finish up. And then we'll open it up for additional questions. Let's see here. All right. I know this is a lot. Don't worry. I know it's a lot, but again, I'm not only teaching you why I do it, but I'm just giving you the cut and paste, the copy and paste. And we're going to do this tomorrow too, but you need to understand the why. Otherwise, you won't be able to build any of these on your own. Okay. So pilots don't fly blind. Okay. They have dashboards that show altitude, speed, and weather. Investors should have the same kind of dashboard. And, or another analogy you can use, you can think about having a personal trainer at the gym. Instead of guessing at exercises, spending hours or even potentially getting injured with the wrong techniques, you just follow the plan, right? You follow the plan that your personal trainer gives you. That's the time saver. So it's all about saving time, saving energy, and getting better results. And that's where our real estate criteria architect comes in. It builds on your personal investing dashboard so you can filter out the noise, zero in on what really fits your goals, and lets the system keep you on track automatically. So this is what we're going to build tomorrow. And I'm going to give you some homework so that you can prepare for this. And part of that was what we just did, which was your risk tolerance. We just needed to know what your risk band was. Is it conservative? Is it moderately aggressive? Is it very aggressive? Where are you? Where are you on that spectrum? And then you're going to actually use this other document to try to fill out what your wants and things that you don't want. I'm going to give you some examples too. So I want you to start your investment decision process. This process can be used for any type of investment. So you can use this for anything. So if you're into the stock market, you can use it for that. Again, that's not something we do, but you could do that. For the purposes of tomorrow's AI build, we're going to build a real estate criteria architect GPT, because for any one that you build, any criteria GPT you build for investing, it has to be specific to the type of investment. So that's what we're going to build. We're going to assume you want to buy a cash flow rental property. And even if you don't like real estate, and even if that's something you're not interested in, it's okay. You're going to learn how to build this so you can use other types of investments. So I want you to fill this out, this document, and bring this with you tomorrow. It's going to help us build the real estate criteria architect together that's tailored to your risk tolerance, time allocation, available resources, your preferences. So the information that you get, or that you create from this, you are going to put into the knowledge of the GPT that we build tomorrow. Okay, so you have to do the homework today in order for this to make sense. And again, it's going to be your GPT. It's going to be tailored to your preferences, your risk tolerance, and your criteria. So I'm excited to see how this all works, but I just want to hear, did you guys get something out of this? Is this exciting? Are you guys excited about what you're learning so far? Okay. Yes. Awesome. I know it's a little bit complicated, especially if today is your first day, but definitely go back, watch yesterday's, go back and watch the replay, and you can go through this slowly, right? You'll get it through the replay. And this is going to save you so much time, and it's going to help you to be so much of a better investor. Think about the advantages this gives you in so many different ways. Okay, so yes, very exciting. So you now have the document that you can use for tomorrow. And we're starting very basic here. There's so many more advanced things that you can do with this, but this is going to help you understand what's possible. And this will help you when you're investing to have these different things for you when you're building your investing library. All right, your investing tools. I look forward. Oh, you know what? We do have some questions, right? Do we
Yeah,
have some
there are
questions?
some questions. One
Okay.
is, where do you get the information to upload to the knowledge base when you were showing us the back end of the tool that they
Yes.
used for homework?
Yes.
Yeah, talk about that.
Okay. I created that from scratch. And that's what I mean. Okay. And so maybe I'm talking too fast. Let me just really slow down so that you guys understand this. AI is not capable of original creative thought or ideas. It's not capable of that at this time. Maybe it will be in the future, but it's not capable of that. So the only thing it can do is get information that it's provided, information that already exists on the internet or information that you give it. Okay. So it cannot actually come up with any original ideas. So this is something that TARDIS uses is we have a risk assessment that we've been using for years and we give it to clients. It's an actual physical PDF. They go home, they do the math themselves and figure out what their risk tolerance is. All I did was I had to alter that document so that it makes sense for people that are not TARDIS clients, put it back in the PDF, and then upload that to the back of the knowledge. And I believe we gave that to you, and that knowledge you can put into your risk assessment. Okay. Now it's geared mostly towards income producing investments, but it really spans all of it, right? So I incorporated everything in there so that in case you don't want income and you rather just wait for 30 or 40 years to get your money, if the stock market performs the way you hope it does after 40 years, you can use it for that too, right? So if that's what you like, it's there. But most of our clients aren't into that. But I wanted to make it relevant for anybody, no matter what type of investments you're interested in. So for the knowledge that you build in and for the tools we're building, I'm going to give you the knowledge, but for a lot of the things that you want to build for yourself, you're either going to have to get the information off the internet, or you're gonna have to create something on its own. I can give you lots of examples of things that I was hoping, AI could help me with, but it could not because again, it's not capable of original thought. So I had to come up with the idea and then it could execute on my idea, but it couldn't come up with the idea in the first place. I hope that makes sense. Okay, what other questions do we have?
Where on ChatGPT are you creating this information? And I think what that question is where on ChatGPT do you go to access that back end?
Right. Okay. So I shared that. Do you want me to show that again, or should
Yeah,
they
if you
just
could
watch the
just go to
replay?
ChatGPT and
Okay.
show where to get to like my GPTs really quickly. I think
Yeah.
that
Okay. Maybe I was just going too fast, but okay. So let's go through this again. And if you're distracted, really, you got to pay attention. Okay, here we go. All right. So I'll show this again. So if you go here, you'll see GPTs. You can go here. And then when you click on GPTs, you see there's a bunch of, GPTs here, but you can go into my GPTs. I have ones a ton that I've created. You can see there's like 30 of them. This one here is what you're going to use, the create button.
Can you
Right?
go to the screen where people just see new chat, like the
Okay.
regular?
Yeah, we'll start there.
That and like access it from here because it might not show up.
Well,
as a
okay,
custom account.
it's right here on the left pan. So maybe they don't have the sidebar open. Maybe that's what, okay. So if this is what you see when you go to ChatGPT, I always have my sidebar open, then click on this, open the sidebar, and then go to GPTs here. And then go to create. Okay. And then let me show you this real quick. This is kind of cool. This is what I was talking about. Sora, this is what helped me make that, animated film and stuff like that. And there's a bunch that people have created. And these are all AI created, like images, videos that people have made. So you can kind of see what's possible with AI. It's really cool. Anyway, all right. So, all right. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Oh, will they get the replay? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And what is the homework? Just so you can reiterate that.
The homework is fill out the document. There should be another PDF that you received. And in that PDF, you will be filling out kind of your wants on investment. So since we're focusing on real estate for the purposes of the GPT we're going to build tomorrow, I want you to think about this. Think about what you would want, what you must have in a rental property, what you must not have. So for example, must cash flow, obviously. I mean, I highly recommend not buying rentals if they don't cash flow. Or if they don't cash flow, it's not worth it. That's a, speculation or growth thinking. And we're all about income and cash flow. So you'd put things like that you absolutely do want, like a certain cap rate, certain capitalization rate, or certain amount of cash flow per month that you get from that single family home. You might also say in a certain neighborhood, or maybe that you self-manage or you don't want to manage at all. You want it to be turnkey. You want it to have a tenant in place, renovated, all of that. And so that's a must-have. Like you don't have time, you don't want to self-manage, which that's me. I would never manage my own properties. Then you would put that down as another must-have criteria for real estate. So you're going to list your must-haves. You're going to list, maybe the location or the must not haves, like, definitely don't want this area or that area or this city or that state, or only want to look in these states. So those are must haves or must not haves. And those are going to help build the criteria builder. That's what's going to inform it. And it's going to give you a lot of information from just those things that you put in there. It's going to ask you some additional questions and you'll be able to build that, which will then allow you to be able to analyze all kinds of real estate. All right. Yes. Sora is a part of ChatGPT. That's why when I had ChatGPT open, it was right there. So you can go in there and create the images like the images and videos that I created. All right. Well, that's it. I know we went way over, so I do want to stop here, but if you have additional questions, be sure to bring those tomorrow. I am going to ask about the homework again, so please come prepared to share what you were able to do, and we will go from there. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Aloha.